Hi, and welcome to the special edition of Go Vote Omaha, a candidate forum for Oppd Subdivision 7, presented by the League of Women Voters of Greater Omaha. I'm Rebecca Armstrong-Langle, a League member and the moderator for this forum. The League never supports or opposes political parties or candidates. We present this forum solely for voter education. The format is as follows. Each candidate will get a 1-minute opening statement, followed by questions prepared by League members. Each candidate will answer every question and will have up to 90 seconds to answer. The candidate who answers the question first will then have the chance for a 30-second rebuttal. Following all questions, each candidate will have a 1-minute closing statement. We alternate speaking order throughout the night. A timekeeper will signal candidates when they have 30 seconds of time remaining and when to stop speaking. Before the forum, the candidates drew lots to determine the initial order. I will introduce them in that order. There are 2 candidates running for Oppd Subdivision 7. First, Janece Mollhoff, and second, Mick. Let's start with our opening statements. Janece.
Good evening. I'm running for Oppd Board of Directors because I care about how much we pay for electricity, how often we have outages, and how Oppd accounts for the money that customer owners send them every month. I'm a lifelong Nebraskan, and I know the value of hard work and looking out for each other. I was an advocate for our wounded, ill, and injured soldiers for the entire Southern Regional Medical Command, and I will represent the interests of the Subdistrict 7 for Oppd. As a retired colonel and nurse, I know that the decisions the board makes have an impact on our families, our businesses, and the agricultural economy. I understand the importance of grid security and reliability. I've spent years advocating for transparency and accountability in government. I will work hard for the voters of this district.
And Mick.
Thank you, and thank you to the League of Women Voters. I am the current board member, Subdivision 7. I'm in my 6th year, and during those 6 years, Oppd has gone through dramatic changes. We have seen the closure of one of our generating facilities, Fort Calhoun Nuclear Power Station. We've seen an increase in renewables. We've seen a host of changes all the way from the top to the bottom. It's an honor to serve with the men and women at Oppd, and I look forward to serving for the next 6 years.
All right, we'll move right into our questions. Mick, you will answer this question first. Is Oppd adequately prepared for climate change? What is the board's responsibility on this issue? And is legislation needed in the unicameral to address climate change?
Well, Oppd is moving very quickly to renewables. I think we are leading the state certainly in as we move to renewables, and I think we're very well positioned to move forward. I'm not from a legislative perspective, from a statewide perspective. I don't know that that's the role of a director of Oppd. Climate change is indeed happening. It's a state issue. It's a state issue, but it's also an issue with each individual power provider. We certainly are taking big steps to ensure that we meet all current regulations. we're at 30% renewable now. We'll be 50% renewable in 2022. I think we are ahead of the game, and we are certainly looking down the road, and I'm very proud of what Oppd is doing.
Thank you. And Janece?
I think that climate change is affecting agriculture already, and I think that everything that we can do to mitigate the effects of climate change and help our agricultural economy is the right thing to do. Oppd had committed to closing all 5 units of the coal plants in North Omaha, and I would make sure that that is followed through and taken care of. And I think that everything that we can do to to create electricity in a way that protects our air and water and mitigates climate change is the right thing to do.
And Mick, would you like a rebuttal?
Yeah, well, OPPD is a business. It's the people's business, and we talk about this all the time. As we move to more renewables and we address climate change, we must responsibly do that at the pace of value. We talk about that a lot, pace of value. And it means that we simply can't proceed with issues and ideas until they are of value to customers and they are the right thing to do from a financial perspective.
For question 2, this is for you, Janece. What is OPP doing, or what should it be doing, to ensure that contaminants from coal ash storage in North Omaha and in Nebraska City are not going into waterways?
Certainly the DEQ is involved in this process, and I think that OPPD owes it to the citizens of Nebraska to make every effort to protect our waterways from coal ash seepage. And I'm not privy to current information about coal ash at either of those facilities, but I think that due diligence has to be taken to protect our waterways.
And Mick?
Yeah, North Omaha has 5 plants. 3 are currently natural gas, and plants 4 and 5 are coal. We meet every Environmental Protection Agency rule and regulation and exceed many of their regulations. We have plans to move plants 4 and 5 to natural gas. I believe it's 2021. And these plants are not generating all the time. These are peaking plants, which just simply means we don't turn them on unless we need the power. And we'll talk later about our involvement with the Southwest Power Pool. But at this point, these plants don't run at full capacity, far from full capacity. And very soon there'll be natural gas and there'll be no coal ash. And in addition, we do meet and in many cases exceed Environmental Protection Agency rules and regulations.
Janece, would you like a rebuttal?
I don't have anything to add, thank you.
Question 3, we'll start with you, Mick. What do you think is a realistic generation goal for renewable energy in the next 5, 10, and 20 years?
Oh, that's way beyond my capacity to even guess. We'll be at 50% renewable in 2021, or at least 2022, and that's a big step. When I got on the board in 2012, we were less than 10%. So in 6 years, OPPD has moved dramatically to renewables. We're starting. Next year we'll have a community solar option for clients or for our customers. I think OPPD, whatever again, I go back to pace of value. If we can provide electric services and integrate electric services through smart grid and other formats, it's hard telling what's going to happen. Battery storage in the not near future, but in the next 10 years, is going to be a major development for everyone. It'll lower prices, it'll increase reliability. I can look 5 years out, I can't look 20 years out.
And Janece?
In order to meet the level of emissions reduction that we need to prevent catastrophic effects from climate change, we really need to be closer to 80% reduction within the next 10 to 20 years. And so 50% in 5 years is a good goal, but we are already seeing the effects of climate change, and in order to make sure that we don't further jeopardize our agricultural economy and our population, the health of our communities, we really need to set that goal. Whether we meet that goal will absolutely depend on economic and other factors, but we need to set high goals for ourselves so that even if we don't meet them, we know that we're working in that direction and that we are doing everything we can to protect the environment, our communities, and the health of our citizens.
Mick, would you like a rebuttal?
No, I think goals are great. We set them all the time. Again, we're going to be 50% in 2 years. And we will continue. As solar prices for solar decline, there will certainly be opportunities not for individuals to own solar and be efficient and provide at a reasonable cost, but OPPD certainly will add more arrays in the next year. I have no doubt.
All right, Janece, we'll start with you for this question. Do you agree with the OPPD plan to begin selling shares of solar power to residential customers and the board's decision to not subsidize solar costs?
There hasn't been an exact rate structure set for, they've set some rate structure for the solar array panels, but we don't have any numbers affixed to that yet, and those will change as the price of generating the solar energy changes. I think it's important that people have the opportunity to buy shares in community solar. I think that community solar is a good model, and from what I've seen of the way that OPPD is structuring their solar shares, it's very complicated and it's hard to tell how much you're actually going to be paying for it. I think that how they actually roll that out will be very important on whether it's successful or not. There have been different ways of rolling those out in other communities, and the way that OPPD is doing it is unique, and I'm not sure that it's the best model to use to get the most participation.
And Mick?
OPPD is new at this. This is the first time we've dipped into community solar, and we're doing it at a reasonably small level, 5 megawatts. The preliminary numbers are that our customers can purchase, if they choose, in 10 kilowatt increments, or 100 kilowatt increments, 10 kilowatt. And no, it's 100 kilowatt. Anyway, an average home uses about 10 shares. And the shares appear to be going to come in between $1 and $1.50 a month. So if people choose they want solar and it's available, they can certainly subscribe, and for less than $15, $20 a month, they can have all their generation technically coming from solar.
Janece, would you like a rebuttal?
I have personal experience with solar because I have solar on my own home, and I know that it saves me about $120 a month. And so I think that a community solar array should be able to save customers money and not add to their bills. And so I just would like to really take a closer look at that rate structure and figure out what those costs are based on and how it makes sense that the solar would cost more than other regular energy.
Great. The next question, we'll start with you, Mick. Assess OPPD's cybersecurity. Is the OPPD grid safe from hacking? And is there a need for more security for OPPD's facilities and operations?
That's something we talk about a lot, and something I can't talk about in great detail. I can tell you, though, that we are moving far beyond where we have been. There is nothing secure in this world, and I think we all know that. We have an IT department and a director of IT that is very, very competent and has been with us for about a year and a half. We talk to federal agencies all the time, Homeland Security, FBI, everyone you can imagine, and we are meeting all of their criteria. I think OPPD is from a transmission and from a distribution standpoint, we've probably got a little bit of work to do. Our concern is really about our customers, our customer information, and our customer security, and that evolves as technology evolves, and we are on fast track to get even further ahead than where we were yesterday.
And Janece?
Coming from a background of 32 years in the military, I think I have a unique perspective on grid security and reliability. We can't, our society in this day and age cannot function without electricity. We have to have grid reliability and we have to have security. And so, as Mick said, OPPD works at this all the time, but I think that I bring a unique perspective to that issue, and also I think that reliability and security should be OPPD's #1 priority, and I would make sure that that stays at the forefront when I'm there.
And Mick, would you like a rebuttal?
Yeah, I would. The responsibility of a board member is certainly to offer advice, direction, and follow up to ensure that that those directions are being met. We don't deal directly with cybersecurity. There are people that are very well trained and engaged daily. My role as a board member is to ensure we've got the right people in the right place, and that they are meeting and exceeding the direction that we as a board are giving them.
Great. The next question, we'll start with you, Janece. How important are energy efficiency programs and decreasing overall demand for OPPD's future?
Those two issues really go hand in hand. Energy efficiency helps customers to lower their costs and lower their bills. The only way to lower our bills is through energy efficiency, and what OPPD has to balance that with is as energy efficiency increases and demand reduces, then you have that balancing of decreased energy use, and does that increase the cost then? So I think that energy efficiency is important for lowering our bills. For example, LED streetlights and other energy efficiency measures that OPPD directly controls would help both small communities and the city of Omaha to decrease our costs. And so I think energy efficiency is very important.
And Mick?
Yeah, what you're seeing in OPPD is an unusual situation. Any business I've ever been involved in wants more customers and more revenue. And we are encouraging people to use less electricity, and I agree with that. The revenue for OPPD continues to decline, even though we get more customers. People are using less energy through all the things you can imagine, light bulbs, appliances, and we have two programs that are our Nest program, where people can get Nest, and their air conditioning is interrupted periodically through the summer, and that helps us lower the amount of usage as well. I think just through normal attrition, you're going to see people using much less energy, and OPPD's preparing for that. That's one of the issues that this board is going to have is, okay, we have infrastructure to maintain, we have customers to respond to, and our revenues are declining, and rightfully so. I agree that they should decline because we are becoming more efficient.
Janece, would you like a rebuttal?
I have nothing to add, thank you.
Great. All right, for the next question, we're going to start with Mick. What was the most important accomplishment that OPPD board made this year? What did not get done, and what would you do differently, or what would you like to have done differently?
Well, there have been many. As I mentioned earlier, it's been a very dramatic change in OPPD for 5 years, not just this last year. We've seen the closing in Fort Calhoun and the safe store that we're in now dismantling. And it's really been difficult. I think the most important thing is that we have managed to retain as many quality employees to do their jobs after closing Fort Calhoun. That's not an easy thing to do, and we've gone from about over 700 employees to about 340 at last count. Those are the backbone of what OPPD is and does. So I think the transition that we've had in Fort Calhoun is probably the hardest, yet one of the most necessary issues that we've had to accomplish in my whole tenure.
Janece?
A few weeks ago, they did a groundbreaking on the Shoals Wind development up in Wayne County, and that was one of the driving forces behind bringing Facebook to our community. And so I think that those types of partnerships with economic development and bringing good jobs to the community through renewable energy, whether it's wind, solar, battery storage, or other new emerging technologies, which OPPD is looking at, I think those are probably the most important accomplishments that OPPD has made. What I hear in my speaking with folks who are in my sub-district is that they're really disappointed in the reliability of the grid at this point in time, and that the power outages that we've had recently seem to be stemming from some lack of ongoing maintenance to transmission lines, and folks out in Saunders County and Dodge County are not feeling like they're being valued as far as the reliability, and from farmers whose grain dryers aren't functioning properly to businesses who haven't been able to keep their computers going. Reliability has to be our #1 priority.
Okay. And Mick, would you like to rebut?
Yeah, certainly reliability is extremely important. I've visited with those people in small towns that have had difficulty. It was a tough winter, and frankly, our facilities need to be beefed up in some locations, and they are being beefed up. In fact, there's one in Ashland that the transmission line has already been rebuilt. And wind, certainly, economic development is, economic development is something OPPD takes a lead on and has taken a lead on for decades.
Great. And now we're going to move on to our closing statements. So Janece, if you'll go first, you have 1 minute.
Again, I'd like to say that I care a lot about how much we pay for electricity, how often we have outages, and how OPPD accounts for the money that customer owners send them every month. Money spent on things other than reliability, security, and keeping rates low is not money well spent in my estimation. I've spent years, as I said, advocating for transparency and accountability in government. Ratepayers should know how much it costs to generate from both coal and other types of generation, and we should make decisions based on those costs and not on any other factors. I'm running to lower electric bills, to bring transparency and accountability to the board, to create good paying jobs and be a voice for the community. I work hard for the voters of this district.
All right, and Mick?
Thank you, and again, thank you to the League of Women Voters for hosting this event. OPPD, we froze rates. We froze our, our rates for 5 years through 2021. And I am convinced we will continue freezing those rates longer than the 5 years we first guaranteed. We are, and it's an outstanding organization, and I just happen to be part of that. OPPD is made up of men and women that give their lives. They go out at night and show up at your door when your service is out in the dead of winter. These are the people that are behind OPPD, and I couldn't be more proud to be a part of this organization. And I hope you vote for me in November. Thank you.
And thank you. This concludes our forum for OPPD Subdistrict 7. The League thanks both of our candidates for coming tonight. Thank you so much. For the League of Women Voters of Greater Omaha, I'm Rebecca Armstrong Langle, reminding you to inform yourself of the issues and candidates for our election day, which is Tuesday, November 6th. Go vote, Omaha.